All right, welcome everybody to Infinite Impact Radio, and those of you listening, or excuse me, watching on YouTube or Facebook, welcome to Infinite Impact Live. And here's a little thing, I'm just going to jump back real quick. We're not really live because we don't want to start off inauthentic, but we will be doing the first 5 or so episodes in bulk, getting them out there, and then we will be going live moving forward from there. So after about episode 5 or 6, we'll be totally live. But this is a show for impact influencers by impact influencers with world-changing missions. And today I had one of the first people that I thought of when I came up with this idea, Justin Stevens, because he had a great story that I heard last year. And I'm going to tell another funny story real quick before I introduce him. One of the first times that I think I may have seen him was we were in a coaching group together last year, and there was a cruise. And I saw this video of this guy running around a cruise ship and bright and early in the morning, sort of singing and dancing. And, you know, he's like the only one out there. And I was like, who is this? What is this? And it turned out it was Justin. So before we got on here, I had to do some jumping jacks and get my energy up because he will change your state and get you going. I can tell you that. So welcome to the show, Justin. I'm really glad you came on, and I'm glad you're here. So tell us a little bit about yourself and give us a little background on that singing and dancing routine, too, while you're at it.
Of course. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm thrilled to be here. So a little bit of background. I'll start with the dancing on the ship.
Uh-oh, we lost you there. We'll have Justin come back in just a second. We'll keep talking for a moment and see if he pops back on here real quick before we have to pause it. Looks like he's frozen. Well, I'll give you guys a little background.
Echo.
Oh, he's back now. Okay, you're back now. So I was getting ready to tell more stories, so it's probably good that you're back. So go back into, we missed you. You locked up right about the time of the story about the cruise ship.
All right. So I have a lot of energy, and if I'm awake, I might as well be awake. So that morning, it was me and my wife took a vacation. We have 3 kids. So 5 years old, 3.
No, it looks like we lost him again.
All right. So I've got a lot of energy, and if I'm up, I want to use that energy. So it was 6 in the morning. I was wide awake, and I was like, you know what? I could lay here and sleep, or I could go dance. So I put on my headphones, and I went and I rocked out around the ship, and it was really funny. Russell Brunson, who is one of our mentors, was there cutting some video. And that's how I ended up on video on his Instagram story. So it's like my claim to fame.
Yes, I mean, you didn't just get on your social channels; you were like blasted. So it was awesome. It was very cool. So I guess,
yeah, it was a ton of fun.
Yeah, going from there. Now you can go in and just share a little bit more about yourself, if you would, and like what you're doing now, a little bit of your background. Just give us a little quick bio on Justin.
Sure. So last 10 years, I spent running a sales training and consulting firm with my parents out of Boise, Idaho. And we helped a ton of people, small businesses specifically, learn how to sell, learn how to communicate. And back in November of last year, so coming up on 1 year, I decided it was time for me to leave the family business and go start my own entrepreneurial adventure. The road that led up to this, though, it first started with Funnel Hacking Live 2018. At Funnel Hacking Live was the very first time I ever saw a gentleman by the name of Tony Robbins in person. I've heard the name, I just never paid attention to him because I thought he was all rah-rah, super hyped up, yada, yada, yada. But he was a speaker at Funnel Hacking Live 2018. He got up, trained for about 4 hours, and was the most engaging, most amazing speaker and presenter I have ever seen. And so as soon as that session was done, I went and I got tickets to his next event, which was in July in Chicago. It's called UPW, Unleash the Power Within. And I got tickets for myself, my wife, and then my parents, who were also my business partners. We went to Tony Robbins' UPW event, and it blew us away. There were so many lessons that I took away. It completely changed my life. And the biggest impact was I realized that my number one driving need as a human up until this point was for approval and significance from my dad, who was also my business partner. So I'm spending all kinds of time. I am always with my dad. And so when my wife says something like, hey, I feel second, I would, being the man I am, reassure her that she was first. The problem was my actions never said she was first. My actions said, I need dad's approval, then my wife's. So I realized at UPW that if I don't change this, I am risking my marriage, I'm risking my relationship with my kids, and I am not willing to live that life. So that weekend, 3-day event, totally changed my life because I learned what was wrong and I was given a way to fix it. And so that's why I changed. That's why 4 months later in November, I was capable of quitting, because if I had not let go of that need for significance from my dad, I never would have given myself permission to stop working with him. So it was a life-changing experience for me. And that's one of the reasons I am so passionate about live events. I absolutely love live events. I think if you are not going to at least 4 live events a year, you're doing yourself a disservice, because it is a great place to change yourself, to get yourself in the right mindset, to get yourself in the right state where you can go out and take action. You can go out and try things. You can go out and fail because of what you've learned. So that's amazing.
I have to ask you this question then, because I know, excuse me, from being around you before I knew you personally, I would see you in the group because I came into the same coaching group as you did at the same time at Funnel Hacking Live. And that event really changed my life because I saw that was where I first had the idea for this podcast, even though it wasn't an actual name at that time. It was just the feeling where I saw these people on stage and how they were creating an infinite impact by their stories, by their missions. And of course, Tony Robbins. It's funny that you said that because I was the same way. I was thinking, I didn't know what to expect. And I wasn't all, I grew up seeing him on TV on late nights when I was a little kid on infomercials and things. And then as I thought, well, he's closing it out. And my business partner told me, he's like, you're going to love it. And so I went in with the open mind, and I really, like you, I was blown away. But what I wanted to ask you, it's a long way of asking this question, because I've known you from afar, like through the group on Facebook to when we finally met in person. And I always saw you offering value, serving others. Always. Here's one thing I'll tell you all about Justin that I really love. I've never told him this before, but I see it's almost every conversation we end, whether it's on Facebook Messenger, in person, in a group with comments, the thing he always asks is like, hey, if there's anything I can help you with today or in the future, I'm here to help you. And I'm just curious. So once you discovered that so we're getting to the question now finally. Once you discovered that epiphany at Tony Robbins about the approval thing, did it push you from approval and significance to more of a contribution mindset, or did you always have that before? Because you certainly have it now.
Right. So the question I ask myself every single day, this is another thing I learned through Tony Robbins. We all have what's called a primary question, a question that you ask yourself every day, constantly. So some people have negative primary questions, which is like, why am I such a failure? Well, your brain is so freaking smart, it will give you an answer. So if you ask your brain why you're a failure, it will tell you exactly why you're a failure. Whereas if you ask your brain, hey, why are you so handsome? It will tell you why you're so handsome, right? So we all have these primary questions. My primary question was, how can I serve you? Which is a great primary question, but it leaves out one very important piece of the pie, which is Justin. So here's something I want to encourage every entrepreneur, every person out there looking to make an impact. If you do not take care of number one, which is you, right? If you do not take care of you, you cannot take care of anybody else. And through Tony Robbins, I was able to recognize that was my primary question and adjust it. So my primary question is, how can I serve myself using the gifts that God has given me and others at a higher level than I already do?
I love that. Oh, that's awesome. I mean, that hits me hard because I'm the same way. I was always the person, like, I served as a freelancer. It was like, I serve you to help your business grow and be successful. And I never really took the time for myself. So that is amazing. I'm taking that and putting it on my wall when we're done for sure. So sorry to interrupt.
Do it.
Yeah, so I hope everybody really listened to that, because that's really important. And it's something that we all tend to not just avoid, but think we're being selfish. You know, that, oh, if I take care of myself first, I'm being selfish, and that's bad. I'm taught that selfish is bad, but it's not really selfish if you're doing it in a way that you're going to make yourself better to be able to serve the people that need you. So that's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
I would actually say it is selfish not to take care of yourself. So take Tony Robbins, for example. Most people don't know he's a vegan. Like, he works out 7 days a week. He has a rigorous schedule or daily habits to keep himself in peak physical form, which, if he did not do that, he would not be around as long as he has been and will be in the future to change lives. Right? The way you take care of your body will dictate how long you can use that body to go out and make an impact. So, like, this is something I've got to get better at. Like, another thing I've learned a lot from Tony. Another thing I learned from him is we all have these rules. So, Evans, humor me for a minute. In order for you to be healthy, what needs to happen?
I need to continue to eat better, because I will say I eat well, but I need to focus on eating the right things. But most of all, I need to be more consistent with my actual physical workout regime and not so spotty. So that's what I would say.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So a great example. And another question for the listeners and you don't have to answer out loud, but what does it take to be happy? In order for you to be happy, what needs to happen? And most people don't take the time to think about this. And there's a very important key that you need to remember when it comes to your rules. Because we have rules for, in order to be sad, this is what needs to happen. In order to be happy, this needs to happen. So all these rules generally our minds are like software. They're just computer programs. They've just got really old programming that really isn't serving us. So in the past, for me, being healthy was always a chore. I have to go to the gym. In order to be healthy, I need to go to the gym, and I need to eat right, and I need to exercise 3 times a week, right? So I have all these rules around what being healthy looks like. And what I realized is I need to change my rules. So now, in order for me to be healthy, number 1 rule for me, I need to remember that it is fun to be healthy. Or I need to push my body until I sweat. Or I need to go have fun with my kids. Or I need to go to the gym. Or I need to pick a salad over French fries. So I used a very key word, and it's or. When you use and with your rules, so in order to be happy, I need Evans to be happy, and I need Emily to be happy, and I need my kids to listen to me. Like, I'm never going to be happy if those are my rules. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. You can't,
So,
I love the way you stated that because, you don't know this about me, but I come from a personal training background many, many moons ago. And, I used to not, if I wasn't working in a gym, then I may not have been there as much as I would have because I looked at it as a chore and it wasn't fun. It wasn't until I got a little older when I started trying to find ways like, you know what, I remember what it was like growing up, and I'd go outside and shoot baskets, for hours just by myself to think. So now when I get stuck on a problem or something, I go to our neighborhood court and I just go shoot baskets. So I'm like exercising and I'm opening up the brain to receive answers as well. So it's like, but
yeah.
You're totally 100% true. I love the way you stated that people need to not be so we talk ourselves out of things because we think of them as rules, as punishment, instead of the opposite. You could easily think, oh, I've got to eat a salad again, or, oh, I've got to work out again. It's horrible. And you think of the negatives, or you could think of what's that feeling you get the next day after a good night's sleep when you have worked out the day before. And it just, I love that though. I love the way you put that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so I would say, going back to our listeners, like if you are driven by making an impact, there's one very important person that you must impact first, and that's yourself. You have to learn how to control yourself, your body, and most importantly, your mind. Because the thing, for 10 years, I've done business consulting, sales training. I have worked with hundreds of different people over probably even hundreds of different industries. And everybody, their number one problem was between their ears. Okay? So it's so funny. I have people all the time say, Justin, I'm stuck. I need to figure out how to close this piece of business. They want a tactic. They want a strategy. But even if I give them the tactic or strategy to use, their mindset will sabotage everything they're trying to do. So the first thing you've got to master is, what am I telling myself? And one of my favorite things to talk about is lies. See, every single day, Evans, when you looked in the mirror this morning, let's say you got up, did whatever, and finally got to the shower, took a shower, got done, you're looking in the mirror, what do you say? Right?
Right.
Like, when I look in the mirror, my initial response is, oh, where did that gray hair come from? Who is this old man in my house? Right? So we all have a perception of who we are. But your perception is your reality. So it is literally your choice to believe the lies you tell yourself. And we all choose to tell ourselves really crappy lies. You are way harder on yourself than you would ever be, ever, on anyone else. You are way harder on yourself. So why not? Crazy idea. But I just want you to try it for 1 hour. Just 1 hour. Okay? Get a rubber band, put it on your wrist. Anytime you have a negative thought, like, Justin, you're a dummy. Justin, you can't do this. Oh, woe is me. I want you to just snap your wrist, okay? And I want you to change the lie, because your perception is the truth. Change the lie and say, Justin, you are so clever. I don't know how you came up with that, but I like it, right? So change the lie. Change the question you're telling yourself, because whatever you say, you will believe. And I promise you, here's one thing I do. When I'm training, when I'm sharing my knowledge, most of the time, literally most of the time, totally transparent here, guys, I'm training to me, because I don't know if a single soul will listen to this podcast, but I do know that I need to work on my mindset. And so every time I train, every time I share stuff, I'm sharing what I know I need. And I know I need it, which means I know someone else out there needs it.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad you brought that up. We just had that discussion with somebody else earlier today, that one of the same processes where, I don't necessarily go into myself. I have a podcast that is mainly me sharing what I'm learning on a day-to-day basis, my journey. And that podcast is not necessarily for the listeners, although I hope that they will get something and their lives are affected. But what I came to the realization is exactly what you're saying, is that by sharing what I learn, I'm actually teaching myself. So I'm going from, just learning to knowing by that act.
Yeah.
So that's amazing that you said the same exact thing. So I'm glad to know I'm not crazy,
Oh, no.
And I think that's amazing, is that people should think that way out there. All the listeners and the viewers should just say, you know what, if I create a podcast, if I create a video, I may get one viewer, I may get 100, or in the case of the cruise ship, dancing and singing, you may get hundreds of thousands, but you may get 0. But it's you and you're learning and you're getting to know the things that you need to know. So I think that's an excellent point for sure.
Yeah. And it's funny how people get in their head, get in their own way when it comes to, okay, there's a huge topic out there called content. You need to create content over and over and over every day. Like, you've got to go out and share stuff. I firmly believe in that and agree with it. I just think when you're creating that content, you might as well create content that's going to reinforce what you're working on, reinforce what you're trying to learn. Because if you go and train what you need to hear, guess what? You'll hear it.
Excellent.
You will hear it.
That's awesome. That's a great point. Yes, I love it. All right, I want to switch gears just a little bit so we don't run out of time, because one, I want to get to sort of what you're doing now so you can share that. But I saw, it may have been yesterday, you posted a video, and I think this is an excellent message because it sort of segues us into what you're doing now, but it also is a lesson that I think everybody out there could learn and could take something from. It's the video you did about quitting.
Oh, I love quitting.
Yeah, I know it's so funny because it's like when I heard you, it's like you need to learn to quit. You need to learn to love quitting. Quitting is okay. And it's like, what the heck's he talking about? He must have run too many laps around that cruise ship. But I thought it was an amazing message. And I think it's something that it segues us into what you're doing now, but it also is a message that the listeners and viewers need to hear, because it's, if you're trying to make an impact out there, it's not always going to go 100% the way you want it to go. And as you're going to tell them now, quitting is okay. Quitting, well, I'll let you just go into it. I'm going to quit trying to explain it. I'm going to let you, because you were the master as explaining it. So go ahead and jump right into it for us.
Sure. I'm thrilled to explain it. And what I'd like to do is just share my story as I explain it.
Yes.
So I already told you guys, quit the family business to start my own business back in November. So I quit. I was like, that's it. I'm going all in. If I don't make a change now, I never will. So I start trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do when I grow up, right? That's what all us entrepreneurs do. We have this crazy idea, and then we jump, and then we're like, oh, wait, I was supposed to build a parachute first. That's stupid. So I go and I quit, and I'm going down this journey. I go to Tony Robbins' Date with Destiny about a month after I quit. That's where I learned about the rules and just a ton of amazing things. Again, big Tony fan. So I learned all this stuff, and what I realized is every pivotal point in my entire life was based off an event, happened at an event, like especially with my career, but even personal life. Like in college, I went through Rush and joined a fraternity. That's all an event. So I realized there's events change lives. And the best way to make an impact on people is through an event. And so I started diving deep. I'd not really done any of we'd done boot camps, smaller events, like 20, 30 people through the sales training company, but never a big event. And so I started diving into, how do you create conferences? How do you put on big events? I went out and I found a business partner who spent the last 7 years putting on events all around how do you change people's lives and build a profitable business. Because another great thing about events, P.S., it is a great way to grow your business. But that's a whole nother story. So I go into events and I decide, and let me know if you ever heard this, I decide, you know what? I am too important to trade my time for money. So I am not going to do that. I am going to build a scalable business from day one. I'm going to build out the website. I'm going to automate everything. I'm going to get it to the point where I can wake up in the morning, look at my phone, and holy guacamole, I made $1,000 last time, right? That's the mindset going into this. So I start hiring experts. I start going out there. We did this huge virtual event that was really cool. We hired a company to run Facebook ads for the event. We spent close to $50,000 on Facebook ads alone. So over the first 8 months of my business, I spent my family's entire savings. Not only did we start a business, I also moved from Boise, Idaho to Orlando, Florida. I sold my car. My wife, we have a minivan, but I sold my car. I closed out 4 retirement accounts. I sold my house. I took all that cash and put it back into the business. Now, I am extremely blessed that I was even able to do that. But come July 1st, that business that I just put $100,000 in, because honestly, I'd be shocked if it wasn't more. I just put $100,000 in, and it's made like 10 grand, 20 grand. And so what I realized is I had this idea that I was never gonna trade time for money again, which we've all heard that, right? You've heard it.
Yes.
I've heard it. I've said it. I've told people, no, you got to stop trading time for money. And so I went out there and I decided I was too good to trade my time for money. So instead, I'm going to trade my time for no money. And let me tell you from personal experience, that sucks. It's way worse than trading your time for money.
Yes, exactly. We were talking about this before we jumped on that, I was a freelancer before I got into like becoming an entrepreneur, even though back then I would consider myself as an entrepreneur of some sorts, but I was working and hours, trading time for money. And I told myself the same thing. And, so it's not something that you just went through. It's something that I think a lot of us aspire to, that I'm going to have freedom. I'm going to get my bank account's going to be getting full while I'm sleeping and not working, the 4-hour work week, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I love the story. I love you telling the truth and giving us the real deal on this too. It's awesome. Thanks for being so authentic.
Yeah. Hey, totally. And so July 1st, we had just moved to Orlando. So it took a while to sell our house and get everything, blah, 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 right? So we just moved to Orlando, ended up having a couple friends come stay with us that very first week, just hanging out, talking. They were mentoring me and they're like, so what's going on? And I'm digging into my business and I realized, you know what? It has been 8 months. My cash flow situation will maybe get me through August. So I have like a month before I need to get my poop in a group, right? So I've got to figure something out. And that's when I went to one of the things I've talked about in the past is being willing to quit. Because there are a lot of us that go out there and we have this idea, we have this concept, and we know we can make it work. Because the business I was building, I'm still building a business, it's just changed, but that events business, I could have made it work. I could have gone and got a job. I could have worked to pay the bills somewhere else and figured that out. I'm beyond a shadow of a doubt, I could have. But do I have to? And here's what a lot of people do is they go and they set goals and they make decisions and they decide to do something without giving themselves an end date. So for example, let's pretend you want to start flossing because you're supposed to. I'm supposed to. I don't. Yes. Totally transparent, right?
I know. Don't let my daughter hear this podcast because I'm not good at it either.
So let's pretend you decide I need to start flossing. If that's me, I'm going to set a goal. I am going to floss every day for 21 days. And at the end of 21 days, now I will make a decision whether I keep flossing every day or don't, right? So it's not quitting when you have a deadline, right? People give themselves leeway. The problem is there are so many people who don't give themselves leeway before they start something. So I gave myself leeway starting this business, and in July I said, you know what? I've done this all wrong. I've made some mistakes. I've learned a ton. I had a boatload of fun, but now it's time to figure my stuff out. And I went back to the drawing board. I looked at everything I know about sales, running a business, growing a business, and I started over from scratch July 1st, well, July 4th or something like that. I started from scratch, and there's a 4-step process that I went through, and it took me about a day to get through it. Within 2 weeks, I had 2 clients and $2,500 monthly reoccurring revenue.
Nice.
I'm now up to $5,000. monthly reoccurring revenue because I followed this simple 4-step process. So the first thing, if you want to start a business, the very first thing you need to do is create an unscalable offer. I want you to trade time for money on your schedule instead of on anybody else's. So I believe a business is not you are not a business owner until someone pays you to do something. So in order for you to start a business, let's go out and get sales and then do the fun stuff. See, I started with, all right, what's my brand? Oh, we got to go hire a branding expert. We got to go get our logos done. We've got to go build out a website. Oh, we need emails for sure. Oh, got to have Facebook ads, right? When I started, I would rather abuse my wallet than myself. So I go and I do all this stuff instead of doing what I knew would work, which is get on the phone and talk to people. Figure out how you can help them and then help them, right? And so number one, build an unscalable offer, something that trades your time for money so that you can build a runway to launch a scalable offer off of. Number two, who's the perfect person to buy that unscalable offer? Who do you want to prospect? And so for my unscalable offer, like it's $2,000 down and $1,000 a month, one-on-one coaching. I coach them every day. Like literally, I'm limiting it to 10 people because in order to do that, in order to talk to people every single day, it takes a boatload of time. I couldn't possibly sell more than 10. Like right now I have 3. Now my revenues where I don't need to sell my unscalable offer anymore, which gives me freedom to adjust that. So I'm actually going to bring it from 10 down to 5 because I still want to build that scalable business. But you've got to figure out what's the unscalable offer, who is the right person to buy it, how do I get in front of them? Number 3 is prospect. So there's now for all my internet marketing friends out there listening, you will hate me for saying this, but go offline, go to BNI meetings, go talk to people in person. One of the biggest mistakes I made on this initial learning experience, which was delightful, was I wanted to do everything from my underwear, sitting at home, whatever, right? Figure of speech. But I didn't want to go network. I didn't want to go talk to people. But business is built on relationships. It always will be. It will never change, ever. Like, yes, technology makes it easier, and it's easier to start the relationship. But if you want to really grow your business, get in front of people. Go talk to them. There's a networking community called BNI, BNI.com. There's meetings all over the world where you can go meet other people trying to grow a business, right? So go out and prospect. And the 4th step is sell. Once you get someone, now we've got to figure out how do we convert them. Now, nowhere in there did I talk about a website. Did I talk about a landing page? Did I talk about your email? All of that is great for building a business once you have something to build on. When you start with it, all it does is increase frustration, increase pain, increase worry, because you are focused on non-revenue generating activities. So if you want to grow a business, the process is really simple. Figure out how you can help someone. Go get someone to pay you to help them by literally trading time for money. Then, once you have all your bills covered, so let's say for me, I needed 10 grand a month to take care of my family. So that's why I built the unscalable offer the way I did. 2 grand down, 1,000 a month, 10 people. I can meet my monthly number. I can provide a ton of value because at 10 clients, I can literally spend 4 hours every single month or every single week with a client to keep them happy. And I've taken care of all my bills. Now, as a business owner, Evans, do you work 40 hours a week?
I probably work more than 40 hours a week.
We all do.
Mhm.
Like I think it's so funny when employees are like, "Oh, you run your own business. That must be nice to create your own schedule." My response is, it is so nice. I get to pick any 90 hours a week I want to work, and I work them.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, the one I want to say, because we got to wrap up. I know you might actually have the client coming up soon, but I know we need to wrap up soon. But I want to say one thing. I love the way you put it, that you created a unscalable offer, but you're trading time for money, but you are choosing what time you were going to trade for that. You're choosing. So you're not, that sort of switches the mindset immediately and turns, like what we discussed earlier about the exercise. It takes a rule and turns it into something that's good. When you think of it that way. And I'm 100% with you. And I think it's funny because I want people who are thinking about an impact driven business that, I want to just start this thing online because I can reach millions. But guess what? Those 10 people that you're working with, you impact their lives, and they're going to work with people that are going to change their lives. And it's going to create that ripple effect anyway. So I would say Justin's plan is an amazing way to get started. And then once you get that safety net, you get your needs fulfilled, then you can start building that dream thing on the backside. And I think that's an amazing way to do it. And I love the way you shared that. I think it's awesome. So don't be afraid of quitting if it's not working. All you're doing is calling it off and taking a different direction. It's just a different path,
Exactly.
That's great. Well, let's go on and wrap up because I know we got to get off this, but we could keep going for hours, but I appreciate your time. And I wanted to give you the opportunity, if you want to tell people how they can reach out to you, how they can maybe possibly work with you, whatever you want to share, just go on and share it with everybody so they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, I totally appreciate that. So my mission is to change the world, guys. And if I can help you in any way, I want to. Now, the problem is I've been working on my mind reading, the Vulcan mind meld, just not there yet. So I don't know if you need help. So if you want help, I want to help you. You can call me. My cell phone is 208-608-0157. You can email me at justin@unboxingevents.com or find me on Facebook. Follow me. I do most of my content, most of my trainings on Facebook Live. So follow me on Facebook. My goal is to do one training every single day. I try to keep it to like 5 to 10 minutes, but training every day. So you want free content? I want to help. Follow me. Join me. Let's change the world together.
Yes, I love it. And I will tell you, definitely you want to follow him on Facebook because he does give great stuff on your Facebook Lives. So, well, I appreciate it. Oh, you're welcome. I appreciate you being here. And thanks for always being so serve first focused, even though you are serving yourself first and then yourself the permission and the ability to serve others. So I love that. So, but we appreciate your time today, and I will talk to you soon, I hope.
Sounds great.